Okay, we are opening up the Good Gather. So you're going to hear and see a lot of us because we want to show you the most exciting rooms that we have created and the most incredible gathers that we have started putting into the schedule. And I'm here with one of my favorite people in the entire world, whether she likes it or not, Lacey Cahill. Now, Lacey and I have known each other for
25 years.
we're
I
not
don't
even
know.
sure. We're not even sure where we like.
Longer than we haven't known each other.
That's
Let's
right.
just say
That's
that.
right. That's right. That's right. We have known each other for more than half of our lives. And we met on the interwebs. We do not live near each other. We live in two different countries. And about like 15 years ago, I was like, hey, you know what you should do? You should totally quit your day job and come into the world of digital marketing and digital business with me. And she was like, no, that sounds weird. And then a couple months later, you did. You did. And here we are. Now, Lacey's been actually one of the most instrumental, quote, like founders and I would say movement makers within Create the Rules and Create the Rules Catalyst. You've been in the Catalyst for 2.5, 3 years. I don't even know how long.
I think it was 3 years in February. So I think
3 years in February. So
I
we've
think
had
so.
Catalyst for 4 years. Lacey came on as chief operating officer and really took into the role of like all the things that I suck at doing, like cut and paste. We have learned
My
that
claim to fame.
I am not the person. One time Lacey and I did a project and we were cutting and pasting and Lacey did like 24 to my 3. She's like, how's it going? I'm like, I've got 3 done. She's like, yeah, I just did 24. So I'm just gonna finish these up. I was like, okay. Yeah. And it's I don't know why. My ADHD is not built like that. But
We have
Lacey,
different hyper-focused skill sets, and that's mine. Also, I just want to say, if anybody's watching this and you hire an operations person, do not ask them to copy and paste. That's really not the job of
I
that
know,
title. Just for the record, they would
I know.
probably look at you like, are you joking?
But
Am I
we've known
being
each other
pumped?
for 25 years, and I'll do the things that Lacey doesn't want to do, like the videos. Like, sometimes help me with cut and paste. That's teamwork, and that's how we roll. So,
That's right. That's right.
but a couple months, well, I would say about 6 months ago, Lacey and I started talking about what's next in the world. The Catalyst is awesome. We work with business owners with a done with you structure where they come into the room and we dive right into their business. But we were like, what else could we do in the world? And what is missing? And Lacey, what did you think was missing in the world?
I mean, at that time, I have no idea what I said, but community. And I probably said that then because especially in the business space, it's such an isolating feeling of in the online business space. Sure, you get your business bestie that you met through a program or something, and you build a network that way. But at the end of the day, like those relationships are only, go so far. And also, it's very few far in between. And some people don't even have that person. They have their friends and their family as their network or their community, and they just don't understand because they're not in it. And so you can't really, sure, you can talk about it and tell them about things, but it's just not the same as somebody who gets it or experiences it.
And business bestie relationships can be complicated,
Yeah.
especially if you do meet in a similar program. I have seen folks be the best of friends, but also behind the scenes be very competitive with each other. And they
Yeah.
weren't actually sharing all of the ups and downs and in betweens because they didn't want the other person to think that they were going through it or they weren't doing as well as the other person. And that's not a reciprocal relationship, right? That's a transactional relationship.
Absolutely. Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say is that it ends at the end of the day, a lot of the relationships that you end up making in the business world end up being transactional. And as long, once that person is no longer, you're not benefiting from them, they fade away. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday I was thinking about writing a post about it, about one of the biggest lessons that I have learned in the business space, especially in a support role that I've been in, is that I'm a people, I'm an introvert, but I love people and I love building relationships and like nurturing those relationships, especially when we're working together. It just naturally happens. Like it feels like we're friends. And then you're no longer supporting them, something happens, whether you move on to different things, they move on to different things, and then all of a sudden your friend is gone. And in reality, they were your client or your customer or whatever. And it feels like it's like you lost a friendship, but also that's just the nature of business. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you go to work, we both used to work in corporate, and you're like work besties where like you sat and you told them everything, right? They knew everything about your life. And then one of you left the company and you never talked to them again.
mm, yep, absolutely. I shared a closet office with somebody that knew every aspect of my life. I knew every aspect. We hung out on the weekends. We did all of the things, and then I left, and it was like, uh, and, it becomes weird, and your life just goes on, and you just don't have that same connection and forced relationship that's built in a
Yeah.
sense.
And then I think like, since the panorama, I think it's been really hard for people to like leave their house. They really go out and like meet like, and I don't mean like you have to like meet your bestie, like this is your ride or die. You're going to spend every minute with them, but actually practicing being in community with people and being in relationships with people. I have joined my community league as the president, and in the last like few weeks, I have really been put into we're fighting some things in the city, and I've been put into this amazing community. It's not like we're going to go hang out. We're not going to become best friends, but we are learning how to work together to create a movement, to do something. And I think it's been really interesting for me to see the different levels of building those relationships. That's like for a moment, for a reason, and having it not be my everything because I have other supportive relationships also around me. And I think that's when we started looking at like the good gather. It was like, okay, what's missing in the world? Where people are, first of all, people need to practice being in community. It's a skill, it's something we need to keep working at. But also the value of having a third space or a third place, which is this concept that we have home and work, and then this third space that we go to that's outside of those things. So we have to go home because that's where our bed is. We have to go to work because that's where our income is. But
Hmm.
then there's these places that we choose to show up in, we choose to be in. And when we start looking at the good gather, we're like, what are all these things in our lives that we would like to choose? But it's too hard to find. I tried to find a learn to crochet or learn to knit class a couple years ago. I can crochet, but my skills are a little rusty and I just wanted to go and be, it was like impossible to find. And it was such a challenge. I'm trying to find places like where I can like learn to sing or do all these kind of like, and again, it's just so hard to find. And so we started looking at these little everyday things that we do and how great it would be to do it with other people. And then the good gather started to happen.
Absolutely. They say create the places that you wish you had available to you, and that's exactly what this is. It's all those little niche things that we want to say we want to do, but with the schedule, with your schedule, with life, with location, like are you even in a city that offers that? Because I surely am not. And for most of those things, like I live in a small town. And so for a lot of those types of meetups or sessions or workshops, it's just not even an option, even if even if I had the time to do it. So, and then having it in the virtual space, it makes it so much you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to plug in your computer, turn it on and show up. You don't even need to look nice or talk to anybody.
No
You can
pants,
just be
no pants
there.
required. Yeah.
You can just be there in the presence of others that are doing enjoying and doing the same thing that you want to do, whether it's making art or writing in your journal or going to open conch night and just being in the gallery listening and just being around others and being inspired by what they're doing and making you feel better that it's okay to actually spend our time doing this because everybody else is and we all want to do it, but we make all these excuses why we can't, valid and otherwise.
And for the folks who are like always like, oh, I always thought I should start a book club or I always thought I should start a meetup for this or whatever. Sometimes it can be really daunting trying to find a place in your city because you got to rent a place, the money's crazy. And for
Mhm.
a virtual space, it's like, do I have Zoom? Do I host it in like Circle and then nobody shows up? Nobody cuts that conversation. The live rooms, the live interactive engaging rooms in the good gather means that you can either walk into one of our pre-made rooms and host an event, a gather, and it could be silent. You could be all just knitting and crocheting and not saying anything, or you could be creating art and talking with each other at the same time, or you could be kind of doing skill shares. It's really open to what people want and need. And we can build it. We can build the rooms also that if you're like, this is a great room, but I wish it had this, this, and this in it. Okay, we'll build it.
You can
And for the
create the vibe.
yes, yes. And like you're not constricted to somebody else's vision. This is something we want to build with other people and get them involved and get them thinking about what does their space need to make other people feel comfortable and welcome and belong there.
Absolutely. And we will build you the most beautiful space. If you need it, whatever you want, we will make it happen.
Yeah. We want to make
Create a
things
whole experience, not just a room, not just a space. It is an experience that you are in.
absolutely. There's things that you can engage with in the room. There's prompts, there's learning opportunities we can build into it. There's courses, that little mini courses we can build in. Like really, I would say dream big and see what we can build.
Absolutely. I do want to say an additional note in the virtual space, as somebody who doesn't know very many people in the town that I live in. I've lived there for a while, but I work from home. Like I just am an introvert by nature. Like I just don't have very many friends. So if I wanted to start a book club, I could probably invite some people from the gym. I don't know if they are into that, but like it's very limited as who I could invite if it's an in-person event. Whereas online, we've all curated these relationships through the interwebs, and it just opens up so much more community aspect. Like, sure, yes, absolutely. Be in community with the people around you. That is so important, especially these days. Like, you need to know your neighbors and like just support your local area, but that doesn't mean that you can't also build community virtually, and that those connections are just as important and just as fulfilling as anything else. And having that virtual space to build something that you can offer to your best friend that lives in another country, or these other people that you met through a game or a business or whatever, however you've, formed your connection, you can include them in it, and it's not like, there's no, I can't come because I don't live there. Like I can't, I'd love to come to your party, but I don't live in your town, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And it really opens up the world as far as like what your community can actually look like and who can be in it.
Yeah, you're getting me thinking too. Like there's so many also like we talked about like the work, your work people, your gym people. Like sometimes you just want to meet new people and they're just for that purpose, right? You don't necessarily want your gym people to come to your book club because then there can be it's like weird, right? Sometimes especially if you don't want your gym besties to know what kind of literature you really like to read, right? But there's other people out in the world that love that genre of literature that you want to read and discuss, and then you can go out and find them and you can have these like very situational relationships and communities with people. So then you start to like spread out yourself, like you aren't necessarily all in with one person. I mean, Lacey, I'm all in with you. We're lifetime besties, but it's like so great when we all have like we have different interactions. You tell me stories about people, I tell you stories about people, it becomes more richer, and we start to expand those skills again of being in community and not having all of our relationship quota on one or two people.
Absolutely. I don't want my gym friends to know what a weirdo I am and how much I love to talk. Actually, they already know that to some extent, but like not everybody wants to show up to my conspiracy corner and talk about all of the crazy things that the world is happening in the world and dive down all of the rabbit holes of all of just the things that make you ask, is this
Hmm.
real? Like, what is there
Mhm.
any, where are the receipts can we find? So, like, what's real, what's not? Question everything. I have to question everything. That's just who I am. And it actually, going back to what you said about not wanting your gym your gym friends might not want to go to your book club. I had one of the trainers at my gym come up to me one day and say, Lacey, what's a cat herder? What do you do? Because on my Facebook profile, it says I'm the cat herder for the Catalyst, and the idea that, I management of the chaos.
Yeah.
But this was like an interaction. I'm getting ready to go to class, and he's like, hey, what's a cat herder? And I was like, what? No idea the context of why he was asking me. And he's like, on your Facebook, this is what you said. I was like, oh, okay. And I tried to explain it to him. I don't know if he really understood, but it was like worlds colliding and it was weird. Like he's fine, he's cool, whatever. But like my online life and my real life collided and I didn't know how to handle it. It was really weird. So, sometimes people are better kept in separate areas of your life, different versions of you for different people. And I feel like that's okay, right?
It actually is, and it's very healthy. Like, again, it gives us some resiliency in that if one friend, does move in and out of our life, we're not completely isolated and devastated because we've lost that one relationship that we have put all of our friendship quota in. And so it does give us additional abilities to not only be different people if we want to be, like, and show off different aspects of ourselves, but we get to know different types of people as well. And we start to adapt, because that's the other thing too, is if we're only in a silo of the same people with the same beliefs and the same, we miss a whole world of perspective and innovation and invention and creativity because we're only with those people. And so the idea is that
Like,
we start having bigger conversations, or we start being in the same rooms, we start to see different perspectives and experiences, and that allows us to open up our mind. It allows our brain to be more like the what if outside of the conspiracy corner. We get people questioning things and being more creative.
absolutely. I have always been a proponent for um, being in places with opinions that might not match yours. I think that echo chambers in general are very dangerous because we need that outside perspective. And that unfortunately, with the way that the internet has come, especially since 2020, those echo chambers have just kind of gotten worse. And, you block person, somebody you don't, they said something you don't like, you block them, whatever. Like that's a whole thing. But like your algorithm is actually creating that echo chamber as well. Like, and that's something that you have a little control over and also don't have some control over. So by consciously choosing to step outside of that echo chamber and get into a room with people where you don't know how they stand on things and being open to the conversations and seeing if the points that are made or the topics that are talked about are challenging your beliefs and like seeing, are you open to like the understanding and the beliefs that other things that people have, like how open-minded are you to, is it just things that confirm your own bias, or are you actually open to hearing where somebody's coming from and their perspective and like understanding how they got to that point of believing that?
Yeah.
Because that can really change the way you could write somebody off like Karen's, crazy because she believes this, but then you sit down and talk to her and like she tells you the whole story of like how she got there and you're like, okay, well, I can understand your reasoning and why you believe that. You don't have to agree by any means, but you can, and it brings so much more compassion, and which is something that we lack so much in this world right now, and that compassion because we're not having those conversations and we're not seeing things from other people's shoes. We're not putting ourselves in their position and trying to understand the whys and the whats and the hows of how they got there. It's very black and white of she believes this, so I don't like her. He believes that, so he's crazy. Like, and it becomes very insulating and also we're not connecting to the human. We're just judging them off of a statement or a comment or whatever else, and not, there's no understanding behind that. And we need that understanding more than ever because we're all unique individuals with different beliefs and different perspectives and different upbringings that have created us into the humans that we are today. And it's so much more complex than what social media and headline culture and all of this has, become, that we have to actually make an effort to change that. And this is a big step in that direction of changing that and getting in those conversations and just starting the conversation and seeing where it goes and connecting to people on a human level as opposed to, what some social media can feel like a very materialistic, superficial level of the highlight reel and everything. But
Yeah, and social media doesn't really allow us to have like these really good deep conversations with perspective of experience. Faith Clark and I talk all the time about the othering, right? The othering that happens. So like what you just described, when you don't know, like when you don't know a person specifically and you hear something overhear about them, but you don't actually experience it yourself because you don't go meet those kinds of people. you get this perspective in your head that doesn't even match what reality is happening. So meanwhile, when you get out and you actually like, I know this, this culture or this person who likes this type of woodworking or whatever, you start to experience it for yourself. And then you can make your own judgment calls versus always hearing what the othering is. There is nefarious reasons why society and our government has created othering. And it is not doing anyone any favors except for the folks who create those rules.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we're here to create our own rules, create the better rules. So let's talk about some of the gathers that we've already, because we've been brainstorming. But the idea is like we know that Lacey and I are going to be doing a lot of the gathers at the beginning until we gather some gather hosts, which can be business owners or they can be non-business owners. It's basically anybody who wants to bring a group of people into the room and share an experience with them, whether it's silent co-working or silent doing whatever the thing is, or it's out loud talking and experiencing and sharing. It can be either. It could be a movement class. It could be like, I want to go for a walk. Anybody else want to hop in on their phones and we'll go for a walk together? Like it really has a lot of opportunity to expand. And we've started thinking of a few things. I mentioned on with Deidre, one of the things I'd like to do is absolutely have a mystery podcast and pattern where we all crochet something, and each week we get a different section of the pattern and we listen to a different part of the podcast together. You have conspiracy corner. Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, mentioned it briefly, but I love a rabbit hole, and I, by nature, am a skeptic of everything and question everything. And I've found that not everybody's into talking about that, and that's fine. Like you get some weird looks, you get some weird responses if you bring up something that's, outside of the norm and the box and the things that,
Yeah.
is socially acceptable to talk about.
Having conspiracy corner means that you can bring people,
Yeah.
like-minded people, in to have a talk
Yes.
without feeling
Yeah,
like weird or shame or judgment, and you can kind of go down the
absolutely.
rabbit holes together because somebody else might have
Absolutely.
a little piece of the puzzle that you didn't have.
Absolutely. It is a no judgment zone. Like, come in. You don't even need to like share your thoughts or whatever. Just come in and listen. If I'm planning on creating a list when people join, and you can submit, your favorites. So then the idea is we go through them like maybe one or two per session, and we can talk about it. We can see where it goes. But also, in theory, we would like to announce them beforehand so you can do your research beforehand. Come in with the receipts or the questions or whatever you've, found in your own deep dive, and we can have a conversation about it. Just see where it lands, theorize, truth, false, what's happening. Like, I think it's healthy to question things, whether it's, aliens or Bigfoot or the government or, all of these things, or just life in general. So I feel like it's a good thing for your brain in addition to. So why not have a little fun and talk about some weird stuff together with people that also appreciate that? Because it's just fun. And you
Yeah,
might learn something. You might uncover something. You never know. Like, maybe you walked in thinking one thing and then you walked out like,
the truth
maybe
is out
there's
there.
something to that.
Yeah. And then you have also created some accountability and unaccountability sessions like that we had in the Catalyst, but you want to carry it forward. And we've also
Absolutely.
built an asynchronous way that people can go into the room and submit their own accountability if they want to have a little public recognition and a public appreciation of them going through. And then what else have you created?
I'm gonna do some co-working just because I feel like it's a good body doubling is great, whether you're actually working or you're just trying to get something done. Like we found in the Catalyst, especially like coming in, if you need to clean your office, coming into the room and just being in that presence of other people doing stuff
Yeah.
motivates you to actually do the thing. And it
I'm
can
pretty
be
sure someone will do a clean their house gather where everyone just sort of cleans like one section of their house together. I anticipate that fully being a full on gather that someone does at some point,
it,
an
it really makes
organizational
a difference.
gather.
It's like getting your best friend on the phone when you're having to do a terrible task, and it
That's
just
how I do
makes the
it.
time go by faster, and you're not even thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing it because you're just you get into that flow.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I'm doing meal prep Mondays because I just hate it. Or like I'm going to organize my recipes. We built a little virtual kitchen. I'm going to organize, like, figure out what I'm going to eat for the week. I'm going to figure out, like, do I need this for groceries? And I'm going to actually set aside, like, print it off, get what I want to do, and then make sure that I have the food prepared for it. And I want people to come and sit with me in the kitchen and we'll have a chit chat while we're doing the work. Maybe we'll share some recipes or share some, methods for preparing food when you have ADHD and autism.
Absolutely. I'll be there for all of that. Plus, who doesn't
Perfect.
want to hang out with the kitchen? It's a
I
good
know the
conversation.
kitchen's great. And then, and we're going to build some stuff into the kitchen for people to find. Maybe we'll have a recipe. Maybe we'll have a recipe submission
Oh,
bot in there or something.
we can have a little recipe box on the counter and you can click on it and it goes to like all of the different recipes that people have submitted.
Yeah, we could probably build that in Miro too, like where people could just submit their recipe like we did with the accountability.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think of
And
ideas all day. If we just had, we could do an entire like 2 hour long podcast, probably just talking about ideas of rooms.
absolutely. I do intend to get a few more out there too for the business owners. I'm also going to do some co-working. I'm also going to have search engine optimization. You got to do it. Let's get you into both the Goog and of course the chat recommendations with AI bots. We want to make sure that your business or your organization, your momentum, your idea gets out in front of people. I'm going to be hosting those. We're going to have more tapping tables. We are going to also have some divination or intuition. We have these cool breakout rooms. And what that means is like you can both go into these rooms. Anybody else in that overarching room can't hear you because you're in an isolated breakout room, but that means you get to practice things like you can ask each other questions. We're going to have we're going to have the not boring business networking where people can come in and we're going to give you a question that you have to answer. So it's not like, hi, my name is Marisa and I am a marriage commissioner and I like cats. Like we don't have to do that. We're actually going to jump in and have some really good conversations and get to know each other that way. In these really cool breakout rooms. So you get to go in, you see everybody else talking to each other, but you can only hear what your person is in your breakout room. So we're going to build out some of those. I can't even
Arts
remember.
and crafts. I want to do arts and craft. Like what a, I wanted to say art room, but like arts, crafts, whatever creation space
Yeah.
where we can all be creating our own thing and hanging out because I love creating and working with my hands. It's therapeutic and give me an excuse to do it, please, because I will be there. And I think that everybody could benefit from creating something. And even you don't need to be working on anything serious. We don't need to do like these like portraits or like,
It could be just
trying to
organizing
emulate
stuff.
Michelangelo or anything like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
whatever, color in your coloring book, just mindlessly like draw, like just to get your hand moving and your brain off. It's a great meditative thing.
Yeah,
But
creativity increases the elasticity in our brains, and it definitely works to reduce the inflammation and things like that that can happen. And we know that there's lots of studies on there where just being a little bit of creative in your day does prevent a lot of illnesses. And so we want to encourage that. But it's one of those things where you just put off, right? You're like, oh, if I don't have, like for me, if I don't have an art show, I'm not creating art. So like this is the time of year where I start creating art because I have an art show in July. Boo, earns. I should be creating all year round. And I shouldn't be creating to sell something. I should be creating just because I love the idea of experimentation and playing because that's how I get better at my craft, right? And so having a gather that you can put into your schedule, or maybe you're a host. Just because Lacey's going to host a creativity night doesn't mean you can't. If you have a specific skill or you just want to have another gather on a different night because the one that Lacey set up doesn't work for you,
or you want
host
to take over, I'm
or
open.
you
I
want
don't
to
need
take
to be.
over. Yeah, like Lacey and I are doing a lot at the beginning. And we know that as people come on, and we have an incredible opportunity for our founding members for the first 100 people that join. If you are interested in becoming a host, not only do you only pay the intro price of $499 US a year or 650 Canadian, but if you host 25 sessions with us, so that's twice a month? I'm not good at math. 52. Yeah, about twice a month. Your second year is only $150. And we're giving that on opportunity for the first 100 people. So this is such a great opportunity for you to come in and what you don't have to host right away. You don't have to do that right away. you absolutely we want you just to come in and be in the rooms and then think about it. Think about how. And it's really great for business owners who are thinking about hosting a community, whether it be live or asynchronous. You don't have to go and build the whole thing yourself. You can work with us. We can build you a branded room that has both like buttons and links to how to work with you, how to like do the next step. Maybe it's an opt-in, maybe it's book a call with you, maybe it's take a little mini course, whatever it is that you have. We can build that into the room. And then you can host community events with your brand in the Good Gather. This gives you an opportunity not only to build your skill as a community host, but it also like lets you decide, is this something I actually want to do in my business? The worst thing in our like as a business owner is we always want to try all these things and then we realize 3 months in like, oh, that is not for us. Or oh, maybe we just want to do it in the Good Gather because we're building an audience that we didn't have to go out and find ourselves. There's so many reasons why you'd want to start with us or stay with us. And the greatest thing that I can think of is that you love it so much that you go create your own community and then we get to celebrate you. Which reminds
Absolutely.
me, we are also going to have a community bookstore. So if you've written a book, we will put your book in the bookstore. We're going to have a community general store. If you're a maker of products or the courses and things, that will be in our general store. And then we also will have the art gallery. So we will have resident artists with their art on display. You'll be able to open them up, get them big, explore, see them in a room, all these kind of things, learn more about the artist, but you can also buy directly from there. So what we're doing is we are creating commerce in community and we're normalizing it, but we're not throwing it in your face. You don't have to have the pitch. You don't have to have the buy this now. You're just in community, you're experiencing, you're getting to know people. And if things are there that you want to purchase it within the community, we're going to make it easy to do so.
Absolutely. Highlight everybody that's awesome, doing awesome things. And if you want to build your own community, go for it. We are you're not supposed to just be in one community. There are different communities for different things. And if you feel called, hopefully this inspires everybody to be in more community, not just this one. Like, sure, if this is the one for you, that's great. But if not, like, go build your own and
And we'll cheer you on every step of the way.
absolutely.
Anything
Yankee.
else, Lacey, we need to let them know before we go today?
Oh boy. I don't think so. We
Okay.
would love for you to join us. I'm very excited. I feel like it's a hard to explain something like much like with the catalyst and being in the catalyst. It's something that, you can talk about and try to explain, but it doesn't compare to actually showing up and being in the room and being in the space. It's magical what can happen for people and ideas and things when you allow yourself to just see how it goes and play in the space and talk to people that you don't know and have those conversations and get inspired. You might want to join and be like, I don't want to host anything because that feels weird. And then you get into the space and you make some friends and you start talking and suddenly you've got 4 different workshops that you want to host because you feel inspired by it all and it came out of nowhere, but you were just in the right space surrounded by the right people going with
Yeah.
the flow, not
Or you
like
just want to hang out in the coffee shop all day. You don't even want to sign up for the scheduled gathers. You just want to hang out in the coffee shop and see who pops in and what kind of conversations happen.
say, how you doing?
How you doing? One of our rooms. Lacey came up with it, just a place where you can go in and say exactly how you're doing and not have to worry about making it weird or trauma dumping or putting too much on other people. You just come in and you're like, this is how I'm doing today. It's just a space to be seen and recognized and witnessed.
We're keeping it real. No, we don't need to perform. There's no place to be performing in any of these spaces. Show up as you are, however that
Unless
is.
it's open conch night.
I
And then
mean, it's
you're
fair.
performing your poem or your song or whatever
Abs-
else you'd like to bring with us.
Unless the session specifically calls for it. I mean, sure.
Stage or and yeah, that's the opportunities are there. So we've of course shown you some of these examples here, but we will have more coming. If you want to find out more, you can always message us. We're happy to tell you more. And of course, you can always check out what we're building at thegoodgather.io. It is up, it is live, the cart is open, and we are opening the rooms. We hope to see you there.